A few videos ago, I tested this Down4Sound JP8 amplifier, which I really liked. I liked the look of it. I like how it performed, the bass knob, everything else. But I decided I want to do some extended testing. One, I wanted to do low voltage for those who aren't blessed with big alternators and all that stuff. And the other, I wanted to try low ohm test to see how it handled down to half an ohm. So that's what I'm going to do in this video, and hope you guys enjoy that. First up, we're going to do the low voltage test, and we're going to check out 12.5 volts or so. Now at 4 ohms, it's not rated specifically at 12 volts, but we're going to try it anyway. See what we get here. Certified test is first, and here you can see 392 watts at 12.55 certified. Now we'll try uncertified up to the clipping point. And it's counting up. And we're going to bust 400 watts. There you go. 409 at 12.39. We'll try the dynamic test here next. The voltage is dropping continually a little bit because I don't have any charge. 407, 12.35. Now at 2 ohms, it is actually rated 500 watts at 12 volts. So let's try it. We're going to be a little bit over 12 volts, but not much. Rated 500, does 665 at 12.5. So that's quite impressive. Uncertified up to clipping. Again, we're going to be right around 12.5 volts here. And you can see over, look at this, 719 watts at 12.4. So even if you have, low voltage situation, this amp is going to do you well. And dynamically, it does well over 700 watts. 734 at 12.5. So here I let the voltage run down even lower, trying to get closer to 12 volts certified. And we still got 622, and it's rated 500. So they did underrate this amplifier. Obviously, you're getting more than you pay for. Now let's try the 1 ohm test. It's rated 700 watts at 12 volts. Let's see what we get. Our voltage is going to be a little bit over 12. As you can see, we got 1,014 watts at 12.9. But I will test that certified test again here after I do the other runs with a little bit lower voltage so we can see what it does closer to 12 volts, because I'm right around 13 here at the start for these tests. Here's uncertified. Just keeps counting. 1142 at 12.6 volts. So this is easily a 1,000 watt amplifier, even with low voltage. Even with 12 volts, it's a 1,000 watt amp. Dynamic. Look at this. Almost 1,250 watts. It's got headroom too, which is always good. Love to see amplifiers that have the headroom. Now here's the certified test again. We let the voltage drop. Trying to get closer to 12 volts. And still 900 watts at 12.11. So that's excellent. Now we're going to do the low ohm test. Anything below 1 ohm. And first up, we're going to start with the 0.8. It's not rated anything less than 1 ohm, but I was told this amp was built to handle lower ohm loads. Certified 1,325 watts at 14.32. So just smiling because this amp just looks so nice. It has that really cool bass knob, and it just appears to be bulletproof. I mean, and for the price, I don't know how they even have any of these in stock, honestly. Uncertified up to clipping at 0.8. Look at this. 1,538 watts at 14.3. Geez, this thing just doesn't give up. Dynamic at 0.8. Now, granted, you've got to feed it the power because the lower we're getting here in ohms, the more current it's pulling. You can see that over 200 amps. 1753. Now let's go to 0.67. Again, just keep dropping the load here on the dyno. Certified 1410 watts at 14.4. And unfortunately, we didn't have the clamp in the right mode there to show the current. But we will show it here in the uncertified run so you get an idea of what kind of current it pulls. But this is a test tone track. This is not music. So when you see 258 amps, that is an instantaneous thing. 2136 dynamically. Now let's do half ohm, and I'm going to talk you through these. All right, the JP8, we have it wired at 0.5, 1/2 of an ohm. We're going to try the dynamic burst. Not really sure if it'll survive this or not. Again, the dyno gives you a constant, what's called a resistive load. When you hook up 1/2 an ohm speaker load, it's going to vary. Your impedance is going to vary based on frequency, temperature, a bunch of different environmental reasons. But the dyno stays at 1/2 an ohm when it says 1/2 an ohm. So the fun part about it is when you test an amp at 1/2 an ohm, if it doesn't blow up, it usually does pretty good power. Enough talking. Let's just see what it does, if it works. OMG! 2,500 watts, 2539 at 14.5. That is insanity, my friends. Absolute insanity. Down4Sound JP8, certified 1/2 an ohm. Again, to those of you who don't know, who haven't watched my channel before maybe, or haven't really watched all of the tests that I do, there's only a handful of amps that are capable of the 1/2 an ohm load with the dyno. The dyno uses resistors, and when it says 1/2 an ohm, it is in 1/2 an ohm. When you hook up subwoofers, you hook up other speakers at 1/2 an ohm, you have impedance rise. When you're listening to music, when it's in your car, when it's in a box, it's going to rise higher than that. But this is a brutal test on any amplifier, and the fact that only a few I've ever tested, probably enough to fit on your hand, one hand, have been able to do this test. I'm really interested to see if this one will do it. I will not do the uncertified test because that will most likely blow up the amp, but let's try the certified test. 40 hertz at 1/2 an ohm. Let's see, will it do it? All right, so it survived 1,374 watts at 14.35. Did not blow up, but look at the current pull. So what this tells you is when you wire it into the dirt, you are stressing out the amplifier, not getting that much more power than the other ohm loads, and it's not really recommended. So that's why I would not wire an amp this low, but I just wanted to show you what it would do. So it survived the test, which is impressive enough. But yeah, there you have it, JP8, 1/2 an ohm, certified. All right, so here we have the JP8 hooked up, and had some people ask about when, what temperature the fan came on and all that stuff. So I've got the remote bass knob here. We can see it's at 74 degrees Fahrenheit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play back the DD1 track, which is a 40 hertz solid tone, and I'm going to set it so we're on, I don't know, a couple hundred watts. Let's turn it up. 225 sounds good. We'll watch the temperature go up, and we'll see once the fan actually comes on the amplifier. So I won't make you sit here and watch it the whole time, but we'll keep it there, and we'll see when the fan comes on, what temperature it gets. All right, so here you can see the live current. We're pulling about 21 amps continuous from the amp. 225 watts, 81 degrees here on the meter. Let's turn it up just a little bit. All right, that's 342 watts continuous. The temperature is going up now. All right, here you can see we're at 89 degrees Fahrenheit, pulling 32.5 amps. and 342 watts or so continuous. Let's turn it up just a little bit, maybe around 400 watts. There we go. Pulling right at 40 amps continuous, 400 watts at 2 ohms. Temperature's going up now, we're above 90. All right, as you can see here, we're closing in that temperature, closing in on 100 degrees Fahrenheit, pulling almost 40 amps of current continuous, 400 watts or so. You may be able to hear a little bit of whining in the background. That is the power supply. And touching the heat sink of the amplifier, I can definitely tell it is warming up. So the fan should come on shortly, I would imagine. Let's see what temperature it is when it comes on. All right, so I paused the track here for a minute to let the power supply catch up because the voltage was a little bit low, so I want to bump it up. You can see we're at 106 degrees here. I'm going to start over 40 hertz track on the DD1. Check out the power here. We'll crank it up to around 400 watts. .414, pulling about 35 amps. Let's crank it up just a little more, say 450. 447. Temperature 106. Fan has not come on yet. What temperature does it come on? Maybe 110? Maybe 115? The heat sink of the amplifier is nice and warm now. We'll keep an eye on that temperature there. And as soon as the fan comes on, I'll note what the temperature is on the voltmeter. All right, we're at 110. Fan has not come on yet. 111. Heat sink is noticeably warm, but it's not going to burn you. Maybe 115? Almost there. I'll just leave the camera rolling. If you hear any whining in the back, it's the power supply trying to keep the bank charged up. All right, we're at 115. The fan has not come on yet. Oh, actually it is on. I see it turning now. Here, let me show you. So at 115 degrees, fan is turning slowly. Let's see if it ramps up as the temperature gets hotter. Yeah, she's warm. It's not going to burn you, but that would keep you warm on a cold winter's night. Let's see where we're at now, 117. 117, pulling a continuous 36 amps. She's spinning slow. Might be hard to even see that. Definitely can't hear it. That fan is super, super silent. I'm going to see if it speeds up any. I'm not going to keep the camera going, but we'll come back in just a minute. So at 118 degrees Fahrenheit, and the fan has definitely picked up. It's still really, really quiet. But yeah, whoo boy. She is hot now. I mean, we've been running 400 watts through the amp for 20 minutes now, heating it up. Continuous 400 watts with a 40 hertz tone. Whew. Yeah, she's hot. All right, well, I think that's as fast as the fan's going to run. We're around 118, 119 degrees, and it's upside down, so that's really the worst way to let the heat dissipate. You really want to have it the other way. But, okay, that's a good enough test. We saw when the fan came on. Now, let me take the plexi bottom off and we will check out the thermals of the insides. Here we have the FLIR camera on my phone here, and we're going to check out the thermals after that brutal test, letting the amp run half power for like 20 minutes so it could warm up enough for the fan to turn on. You can see here the choke is at the bottom. That's the thing that's the hottest, and around 126 degrees Fahrenheit is what I measured. And we're going to zoom in a little bit here and see if we can get a little bit closer. And there you go. almost 160 degrees Fahrenheit when you get right up on it. And so that's not overly hot for an amp like this. 146 or so for the transformer. Those are the two hottest parts of the amplifier. And the fact that this amp could do all those tests, down to half an ohm, certified, in addition, run for 20 minutes at 400 watts, continuous. Nobody is going to run this amp that way, because when you're playing music, it's, jumping around and not continuously stuck on that particular wattage output. So overall, this amp is just a beast. The great thing about it is, if you don't have a high output alternator, just have a stock system, you can use an amp like this, but just don't wire it down to half an ohm. If you use it 1 ohm or so, you're going to have plenty of current with most stock systems to be able to use an amp like this. And then if you want more power later, get an extra battery, get another one of these, and you can boost up your power, have a great looking system with the amp and the bass knobs. I really like it overall, and for the price, you just can't beat it. I always suggest you check this out. Check the video description for a link below. Till next video, Big D, I'm out of here.